Let me in! Let me in! The novel opens with the ghost of Catherine Earnshaw at the window, begging to be let in. Lockwood, trapped in a snowstorm, dreams of this apparition, an image of the past demanding entry into the present. From that moment, we, like him, want to know what happened. Wuthering Heights reaches us through two narrators, a story told within a story. Lockwood, a gentleman from London, provides the outer frame, detached, observant, often confused. Nelly Dean, the housekeeper, gives the inner story, spoken aloud, then written down by Lockwood. Nelly's female voice is filtered through his male narration. Her words pass through his pen before reaching us, reminding us that women's stories are often mediated through male authority. What we receive is never raw truth, but a story twice told. Lockwood calls himself a misanthropist, yet constantly seeks company. He tries to socialize, misreads situations, and misinterprets everyone around him. Like us, he is a reader lost inside the maze. Nelly, for her part, claims neutrality but shapes her story with strong feelings, especially her clear dislike for Catherine Earnshaw. She is both participant and judge, servant and storyteller. Her tone can be moralizing, ironic, even quietly fascinated by the passions she reports, a hint of voyeurism in her unmarried solitude. Both are unreliable narrators. We must read their accounts with caution, interpretation, not fact. Now let's take a look at the key figures. Within Nelly's recollection, three people dominate the novel. Heathcliff, a dark, ragged child brought into the Earnshaw family, grows up as both inside and outside the household. He is marked by class and racial ambiguity, by deprivation and resentment. Catherine Earnshaw, fierce, intelligent, fickle, and wild in her impulses. Her true nature is instinctive and untamed, even as she tries to conform to social rules. Edgar Linton, refined and gentle, represents the opposite world: civility, compassion, and moral steadiness. Lockwood's story begins in 1801, but Nelly's memories take us 30 years back. Bronte constantly moves between past and present, refusing linear time. The past intrudes again and again, through memory, revenge, and even ghosts. It never disappears, it only repeats itself. Time in Wuthering Heights is circular, haunted, and unfinished. The novel's landscapes define its world. Wuthering Heights is an ancient, weather-beaten house, exposed to constant wind. Inside are stone floors, dark wood, flickering firelight, a space of violence and instinct, ruled by the volatile Earnshaw family. Thrushcross Grange, in contrast, is bright, elegant, and secure, filled with soft carpets, crimson chairs, chandeliers, and red curtains. Its inhabitants, the Lintons, embody refinement, restraint, and Christian propriety. The Grange stands for civilization and emotional control. Between them lies the Moor, open, untamed, and boundless. For young Heathcliff and Catherine, it is a space of refuge, a space beyond class or judgment. But as Catherine grows older and spends time at the Grange, she becomes aware of social hierarchy and propriety, and the Moor, once a symbol of freedom, fades into memory. Love as foliage and rock. Catherine's confession to Nelly captures the novel's emotional core. My love for Linton is like the foliage in the woods. Time will change it. My love for Heathcliff resembles the eternal rocks beneath, a source of little visible delight, but necessary. Her love for Edgar, like leaves, is beautiful, cultivated, but fleeting. It's socially proper, yet shallow and impermanent. Her love for Heathcliff, like rock, is dark, rough, and enduring, stripped of elegance but inseparable from her being. It's not romantic idealism, it's elemental, as if it comes from the earth itself. She understands the difference. Edgar offers stability and respectability, but Heathcliff is part of her soul. Whatever our souls are made of, his and mine are the same. Nelly, I am Heathcliff, she declares. It's not sentimental exaggeration but metaphysical recognition. They share an essence that defies reason, morality, even life itself. Yet Catherine cannot live outside the social world that rejects him. Her marriage to Edgar is an act of survival, but it destroys her truest self. Years later, Heathcliff returns, transformed, wealthy, and unreadable. Bronte never explains where he has been or how he gained his fortune, and that silence deepens his mystery. He's no longer the beaten orphan, but a man possessed, his love turned to vengeance. He takes Wuthering Heights through Hindley's gambling debts and seeks power over the Lintons as well. Yet even with wealth and property, he remains an exile, driven by the same anger that once kept him alive. Images of death, hell, and the demonic run through his story. Separation from Catherine becomes his hell, not a religious place but a state of the soul. Bronte turns torment into contagion. Pain breeds pain, love turns to ruin, and revenge sustains itself like a living curse. The final meeting between Catherine and Heathcliff takes place on a Sunday when the Lintons are at church. None of the three, Heathcliff, Catherine, or Nelly, attends. Their love exists outside Christian morality. It is earthbound, pagan in intensity, tied to the body and the soil rather than heaven. Sensing her death, Catherine blames both men for her suffering. Death becomes her last rebellion, a way to punish and escape. Yet Bronte's vision of death is dangerously romantic. She turns suffering into transcendence, suggesting that only through destruction can one be free. This romanticization of death gives the story both its haunting beauty and its moral unease, a reminder that in Wuthering Heights, redemption often comes at the cost of annihilation. Bronte contrasts two forms of love through the men who love Catherine. Heathcliff's love is raw, obsessive, and destructive, an extension of his will to possess what society denied him. Edgar's love, in contrast, is tender and humane. He cares for Catherine with patience and devotion, especially during her illness. His love is steady, not spectacular, rooted in moral responsibility, empathy, and genuine goodness. Edgar's love lacks Heathcliff's wildness, but shows quiet strength. He grieves with dignity, not vengeance. He is an underrated figure, a man whose moral steadiness outlasts passion's violence. The second generation, Hareton and young Cathy. The second generation rebuilds what the first destroyed. Young Cathy inherits her mother's vitality and her father's gentleness. Hareton inherits the roughness of the heights, but also a capacity for loyalty and growth. Under Heathcliff's revenge, both begin in ignorance and bitterness, yet, unlike their parents, they change. Bronte explores how inheritance and environment shape character. The children repeat their parents' flaws, but through sympathy and learning, they transform them. Cathy teaches Hareton to read. Together they plant currants outside Wuthering Heights, a small symbolic act of cultivation that merges refinement with vitality. Naming itself becomes thematic. H names, Heathcliff, Hindley, Hareton, carry roughness and elemental force. L names, Linton and young Linton, suggest civility and fragility. Cathy combines her mother's passion with her father's gentleness. Linton, by contrast, embodies weakness and manipulation, a fragile composite of two incompatible lines. Bronte anticipates a modern sense of heredity. Dispositions may be inherited, but compassion and education can reshape them. Their partnership, built on mutual respect and effort, offers the novel's only redemption. The cycle of revenge ends not through punishment or religion, but through human compassion. If Heathcliff and Catherine represent love unbound by law or morality, Hareton and Cathy represent its gentler evolution, love that learns, works, and endures. The ghosts of the past still wander the moors, but the living begin to build anew. And at the end, Lockwood stands over their graves and says, "I lingered round them, under that benign sky, and wondered how anyone could ever imagine unquiet slumbers for the sleepers in that quiet earth." After all the storms, Bronte leaves us not with despair, but with a vision of calm, a moment where love, suffering, and nature finally come to rest.